let's go back to the year 2003, a time when the very thought that young Cristiano Ronaldo could become the greatest footballer sounded ridiculous. That's why it's amazing to watch his development through the lens of time. It all started with a friendly match against Manchester United. The 18-year-old Portuguese wore out the defense of the Red Devils so much that even before the final whistle, Roy Keane demanded Sir Alex Ferguson sign him immediately. In the blink of an eye, Ronaldo became the most expensive teenager in the history of the English Premier League. He received the legendary number 7, which before him belonged to Best, Cantona and Beckham, and just 4 days after signing the contract, he put on a real show in his debut match. George Best himself then stated, "Many have been called the new Best, but for the first time, it sounds like a compliment to me personally." But the fairy tale quickly ended, after a spectacular long-range goal in the match against Portsmouth, where he literally begged Phil Neville for the right to take the free kick. Harsh reality set in. By April 2004, he had only 2 assists to his name. Defenders, initially stunned by his tricks, now stopped him roughly, forcing him to fall after every contact. The press branded him as a circus pony. Flashy, but useless. The turning point came in the FA Cup final. The championship title had already slipped away to the invincible Arsenal. Ronaldo scored a powerful goal against Middlesbrough and played a match that, according to Ferguson, deserved the title of the best player of the match. This moment became a springboard for Euro 2004, where he made history as the second youngest scorer of the tournament, led Portugal to the final, and was included in the tournament's all-star team. He even took 12th place in the Ballon d'Or voting. Returning to England, he faced criticism again. The 04-05 season was a test. Despite progress in the form of 7 goals and 4 assists, he was accused of excessive theatrics. The culmination was the match against Arsenal, where after a collision with the Gunners player, he received a red card for an alleged strike. Ferguson called this incident a hunt for Ronaldo. The year 2006 brought new challenges. After his father's death and the scandalous episode at the World Cup 2006, when he caused Wayne Rooney's dismissal, it seemed the career of the 21-year-old footballer was going downhill. But that was when his transformation from a show pony into a goal-scoring machine began. The 06-07 season was a real breakthrough. 23 goals, including a hat-trick against Newcastle and a stunning strike from 40 meters against Portsmouth. When Manchester United won the Premier League for the first time in 4 years, and Ronaldo received the Young Player of the Year award, one thing became clear. We were not just looking at talent, but a workaholic who completely transformed his game. It was not evolution, but a revolution, and it was just beginning. In February, Manchester United played against Arsenal, a match where Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira almost fought in the tunnel before the game. 19-year-old Cristiano faced a barrage of insults from the stands, and a defender of the Gunners harshly pushed him towards the advertising boards under a rain of flying objects. At that moment, something clicked in Ronaldo. 2 minutes later, he equalized and demonstratively put his finger to his lips, as if silencing the fans. 5 minutes later, he scored a second, celebrating with provocative passion. Ferguson hurriedly substituted him, fearing escalation. How can a 19-year-old have such a steel mentality? Commentators wondered. This became a turning point. 13 goal contributions in the next 18 matches. But the season, alas, ended without trophies. Let's briefly return to 2005 to understand why Cristiano is so strong psychologically. The hardest year in Ronaldo's life. His father, who suffered from PTSD and alcoholism, was hospitalized with liver and kidney failure. Cristiano moved him to London, but the best doctors were powerless. In September 2005, his father died, leaving his son with an irreparable void. That summer he spent in the gym, avoiding cameras. His physiotherapist recalled he returned a different person. Even his facial features changed. His body screamed, "I'm ready," but there was still chaos in his head. After 2 weeks of mourning, Ronaldo returned to the team with a fury not seen in him before. Every appearance on the field became an attempt to prove his superiority. He rushed into impossible runs, lost the ball, and provoked scandals. United won only 3 out of 10 matches after his return, and Cristiano himself still couldn't score. October 2005. Giggs gestures to Ferguson to substitute the out-of-control Ronaldos. November. Police intervention. December. Ferguson yells in his face, "Who do you think you are?" After a selfish game against Benfica, Ronaldo, who wanted to impress his compatriots, ended up with a red card. The new year 2006 began with a sending off in the derby with Manchester City. He lost control of himself again, and 3 days later another conflict occurred. Van Nistelrooy, pushed to the limit, shouted during training, "Go complain to your daddy." It was a moment of complete breakdown, but it was from these fragments that the real Ronaldo was to be born. Not just a talent, but a champion who turned pain into fuel for great victories. As Ferguson later said, "Sometimes you need to break to come back stronger than before." When Ronaldo heard these words, he lunged at Van Nistelrooy, nearly provoking a mass brawl. Ruud later apologized, but the media had already blown up the scandal. At that time, Ronaldo was showing terrible statistics, 1 goal contribution every 246 minutes over the past 5 months. Even Gary Neville admitted, "I doubted whether he had the potential to become a top player." After a brief pause, Ronaldo got fired up. A goal against Fulham, goal of the season against Portsmouth, and the decisive goal in the League Cup final. It seemed we saw a new Ronaldo. Then Ferguson made a fateful decision. He sold Van Nistelrooy to Real, betting on the Ronaldo-Rooney duo. In the summer of 2006 at the World Cup in Germany, there was the famous confrontation with Wayne Rooney. After the clash in the England-Portugal match, where Cristiano allegedly winked at the bench after the opponent's dismissal, his name in Britain became synonymous with betrayal. FIFA stripped him of the Best Young Player award, officially stating that he did not adhere to the principles of fair play. Returning to Manchester was a challenge. Ronaldo seriously considered moving to Spain, but Ferguson gave the example of Beckham, who experienced harassment after a red card at the World Cup in 1998. "You are braver than you think." Running away is not your style. The coach bet £400 that he would score 15 goals in the Premier League, despite Cristiano never reaching double digits. The 2006-2007 season began with a 5-1 thrashing of Fulham, where the Ronaldo-Rooney duo silenced all critics. November was a turning point, a stunning free kick, Player of the Month title. December exceeded all expectations, 7 goals and 2 assists in 6 matches. He became the 3rd footballer in history to win Player of the Month twice in a row. By February, he had 23 goal contributions and, unfortunately for Fergie, 15 goals in the league. The main response to the critics came in the Champions League. After 5 years without goals in the tournament, he demolished Roma and Milan with Kaká, dispelling the myth that he disappears in important matches. This was no longer a fairy tale about a prodigy, but a story of maturation. As Neville noted, he turned every "you can't" into fuel for his engine. From now on, Ronaldo was ready not just to shine, but also to take responsibility for the results. This is exactly what will make him great. And although Kaká's masterclass knocked Manchester United out of the Champions League, a different story was unfolding in the Premier League. Losing to Everton 0-2 with 30 minutes left in the match, 3 rounds before the end of the championship, Sir Alex brought Ronaldo off the bench, as if unleashing the Kraken. The Portuguese not only equalized the score, he turned the defeat into a 4-2 victory, and in the next match scored again, bringing the club the championship title. The one who was called a problem child at the beginning of the season ended the season with 37 goal contributions, receiving all possible awards and becoming the youngest player of the year. But that was just the beginning. The season 07-08 United started with 3 matches without a win, and Ronaldo not only didn't score, but also received a red receiving a 3-match suspension. That was when the key moment of his career happened. The assistant coach, noticing Cristiano staying after training, asked, "What is your main goal?" "To become the best in the world," Cristiano replied. "Your weakness is your attitude towards the game," said René. "You scored 23 goals last season only because each time you wanted to score a dream goal, you play for the hype, not for the result. How many can you really score?" Ronaldo replied, 30 to 35. "I am sure 40. While you are disqualified, I will teach you to be deadly," the assistant coach declared. The next 30 days they analyzed videos of Shearer, Lineker, and Van Nistelrooy. The main lesson: it doesn't matter how you score. What matters is that the ball is in the net. And what is the result? 18 goals in 18 matches before the new year. 6 of them are stunning goals, 3 are typical forward finishes, 3 are penalties. But the main thing is 6 more decisive goals, as many as in the previous 5 years. After 3 matches, he added 5 more goals, including the famous free kick. When he matched last year's statistics, René approached him again and suggested, "You can slow down or push even harder."
Ronaldo chose the second option.
The show began in March. 7 consecutive matches with goals, each either equalizing or winning. But the pinnacle was the 4-0 demolition of Aston Villa, where he opened the scoring with a back heel, provided an assist with his first touch, and made 2 assists. The season finale, not just a record 31 goals in the Premier League and the first golden boot for a winger. It's 24 points directly brought by his goals in the championship race, where United edged out Chelsea by only 2 points. As Ferguson said, he didn't just score, he decided the fate of the title in moments when it was critically important. He was no longer just a talented athlete, but a goal machine. Ronaldo stopped being that guy with the tricks. He became the one who changed the outcome in big games, and as the following month showed, this was just the beginning of his rise to the football Olympus. It was impossible to describe in words. Almost every goal he scored was decisive. In the Champions League, history repeated itself. Ronaldo scored against almost every opponent, including Chelsea in the final. Even after missing in the penalty shootout, it was he who made this victory possible. He was named the best player of the tournament. This season changed the perception of what a winger should be. 6 months later, 77 out of 96 journalists named him the best player on the planet. It was one of the rare cases where the winner's name appeared on all ballots without exception. In his last season, Ronaldo led United to a 3rd consecutive championship, and in the Champions League to a record 25-match unbeaten streak, scoring 2 historic goals along the way. Even the defeat in the final did not prevent him from becoming the most expensive player of all time when he moved to Real. And as it later turned out, all of the above was just a modest prelude to the main chapters of his career. What he would accomplish in Madrid would make the Manchester feats seem like a warm-up.